Conflict in the Middle East. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a series of minor skirmishes, a few fleeting headlines, soon to be forgotten. But everything changed in a heartbeat after the U.S. airstrikes. Suddenly, flames of war erupted and swept across the region, defying every expectation and pulling the entire world into a spiral of uncertainty. Amid the barrage of breaking news, many are left shaken, asking themselves, did anyone, long before today's leaders, ever foresee this fate? How did the world's greatest prophets speak of the day when the Middle East would ignite? Of the moment when America would light the fuse that could set the whole world ablaze? In this video, we'll dive deep into the predictions of the renowned seers and prophets who warned of just such a turning point. As we journey through the shadows of history and fate, one question echoes above all. What do the prophets say about the final outcome of the Middle East? And could destiny itself already be written in their words? To understand the gravity of what's unfolding, we need to step into the heart of the Middle East, a region where history and destiny collide, and where every headline can change the fate of millions overnight. Right now, the world's attention is locked on a handful of flashpoints. In Gaza, violence has escalated to levels not seen in decades, with airstrikes, blockades, and a humanitarian crisis that has shocked the global conscience. Across the border, Israel finds itself in a constant state of alert, not only from rocket fire in the south, but from the mounting threat of conflict with Iran, a power struggle that now shapes the entire region. The stakes rose dramatically in April 2024 when Israel launched a targeted strike against an Iranian consulate in Syria. Iran's swift retaliation, unleashing waves of drones and missiles against Israeli territory, marked a dangerous new chapter. For the first time in years, the world watched as two of the region's most powerful players exchanged open blows, raising the specter of a much wider war. But the crisis doesn't end there. The United States, a long-standing ally of Israel, is deeply entangled, providing military support, intelligence, and facing mounting pressure from both allies and rivals. Russia, with its interests in Syria and beyond, has become a silent chess master, shifting alliances as global power balances hang in the balance. Meanwhile, smaller nations and militant groups find their own futures at stake, pulled into a conflict with no clear end. Looking back over the past decade, the cycle of tension and violence has never truly broken. Yet, the speed and intensity of the 2023-2025 escalation is unlike anything the region or the world has faced before. The question now is no longer if the conflict will spread, but how far and who will be left to pick up the pieces. Throughout history, prophecy has held a unique and mysterious power over the human spirit. From the deserts of the Middle East to the mountains of Asia, from the ancient ports of Europe to the bustling cities of America, prophets and seers have shaped the way we see the world and ourselves. Prophecy is more than a prediction of doom or hope. It's a bridge across centuries and continents, connecting the wisdom of East and West. In the East, sacred texts like the Quran and Buddhist sutras speak of visions, omens, and cosmic cycles. In the West, the Bible and the cryptic verses of Nostradamus have echoed through generations, sparking awe and debate. What unites these traditions is the belief that humanity is part of a greater story, one written not just by kings and armies, but by invisible threads of fate and meaning. Prophecy reminds us that history is not random, that every crisis, every turning point may be part of a larger pattern that spans across cultures and faiths. In times of uncertainty, the words of ancient prophets become a beacon, challenging us to look beyond headlines and search for the deeper currents shaping our destiny. Among the new generation of seers, one name has captured the attention of both believers and skeptics, Athos Salomé. Dubbed the Living Nostradamus, Salomé is a Brazilian psychic whose bold predictions and mysterious aura have earned him headlines around the world. While critics question the nature of his visions, Salomé's reputation has grown, especially as world events seem to echo his warnings with eerie precision. Salomé rose to international prominence after a series of predictions regarding global health crises and political upheaval. But it's his prophecies about the Middle East that have sparked the most intense debate. In interviews and social media posts, Salomé warned that the tension between Israel and Iran would not only escalate, but become the spark for a wider conflict, one that could reshape the balance of global power. Months before the April 2024 strikes, he cautioned that the world would soon witness a confrontation that would shake the roots of civilization. One of Salomé's most chilling predictions is the vision of 3 days of darkness. He describes a period when the skies would go black, not from a natural eclipse, but from the aftermath of war and the possible use of electromagnetic pulse (EMP) weapons. According to Salomé, this darkness would not only plunge cities into chaos, but would also serve as a test for humanity's resilience and faith. In his words, "When the world stands still in shadow, only the light within will guide us home." Salomé also points to the rapid rise of artificial intelligence as a factor in the coming upheaval. He warns that AI, if used recklessly in warfare, could trigger consequences beyond any human control, shifting the boundaries between nations and even blurring the lines between man and machine. Some of his warnings seem to align eerily with reality. The Israel-Iran conflict reached the dangerous crescendo in 2024, just as he described. The fear of EMP attacks and the debate over AI's role in modern warfare are now hot topics across international media. But for all the darkness in his prophecies, Salomé's message is not one of doom, but of hope. He speaks of a rebirth for humanity, a time when, through hardship and uncertainty, people will rediscover compassion, connection, and a deeper sense of purpose. In Salomé's vision, every crisis is a crossroads, and every act of kindness is a beacon lighting the way to a new beginning.
In a world teetering on the edge, the words of Nicolas Aujula, a British psychic and hypnotherapist, have taken on an unsettling resonance. Known for his calm demeanor and vivid visions, Aujula first rose to global attention when he accurately predicted the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as waves of political unrest in the years that followed. His ability to foresee major world events has made him a source of fascination, debate, and even unease. Recently, Aujula's focus has shifted to the growing storm clouds over the Middle East. In interviews and media appearances, he has warned that the escalating conflicts between Israel and its neighbors, especially Iran, could be the match that ignites something far greater, a third world war. He paints a picture not just of regional chaos, but of a domino effect that pulls in superpowers like the United States, Russia, and China, with global security hanging by a thread. Aujula's warnings aren't vague. He speaks directly of attacks that ripple across continents, of cyber warfare, power blackouts, and a new era where no nation feels truly safe. He suggests that America, despite its power, may find itself dragged deeper into conflict, caught between its alliances, its ideals, and the unpredictable turns of destiny. What makes Aujula's prophecies so striking isn't just their detail, but the way they echo the collective anxieties of the West. In a time when headlines are filled with talk of nuclear threats, climate disasters, and technological upheaval, his visions tap into a deep-seated fear, the sense that we are living on borrowed time, that civilization itself is fragile and exposed. Yet, even as he describes scenes of turmoil, Aujula often urges listeners not to lose hope. For him, prophecy is a warning, not a sentence. It is a call for reflection, preparation, and the rediscovery of the values that bind us together, even as the world trembles on the brink. In America's vast landscape of faith, few voices have resonated as deeply in recent years as that of Joshua Giles. A respected pastor and author, Giles is known across the Christian community for his spiritual insight and passionate preaching. His reputation is built not on spectacle, but on a steady commitment to interpreting the signs of the times through the lens of faith. As global tensions mounted in recent years, Giles began to share a prophetic warning that captured the attention of believers nationwide. He spoke of a new era of war,
an age marked not just by battles abroad, but by spiritual conflict at home. According to Giles, the flashpoints in Gaza and Ukraine are not isolated incidents, but signs of a larger upheaval that will test the very soul of nations. In interviews and sermons, Giles has drawn direct lines between unfolding events and ancient prophecy. He points to biblical passages about wars and rumors of wars, urging his followers to view current crises not just as politics, but as spiritual battlegrounds. For many American Christians, this perspective brings both comfort and urgency, a reminder that history is not random, but part of a divine narrative unfolding in real time. But Giles's warnings go further. He has cautioned that the instability overseas could soon spill onto American soil, not just through economic shocks or political division, but through an increased risk of terrorism and violence at home. He urges his community to stay vigilant, to pray, and to support one another through times of fear and uncertainty. For Giles, prophecy is more than prediction, it is preparation. He believes that by facing these challenges with faith, compassion, and unity, people can withstand even the darkest storms. In his words, this era will test us, but it will also reveal what we truly believe and who we truly are. As America watches the world grow more volatile, Joshua Giles causes listeners to stand strong, not in fear, but in the enduring hope that light can still overcome darkness.
In the realm of Middle Eastern prophecy, few figures are as enigmatic or as closely watched as Michel Hayek. Known as the Nostradamus of the Arab world, Hayek has built his reputation through annual televised predictions that captivate audiences from Beirut to Baghdad. While his words often spark controversy and debate, they also inspire a sense of awe, rooted deeply in the mystique of his homeland. Hayek's forecasts are famous for their symbolism and layered meanings. Rather than clear pronouncements, he weaves his predictions into riddles and images, reflecting a tradition where prophecy is as much about interpretation as about fate itself. His warnings about Lebanon, Israel, and Iran have echoed through a region constantly on edge, fueling both hope and anxiety. Among his most talked-about visions are those of a fire that will cross borders and leave leaders trembling, and a night when the sky over Lebanon will glow and nothing will be as it was before. These prophecies, impossible to verify, yet hard to ignore, have only grown in power as recent events unfold. For many in the Middle East, Hayek's words are both a puzzle and a mirror, a reminder that in this ancient land, the future is always written in shadows.
Few names inspire as much mystery and fascination as Baba Vanga, the blind Bulgarian mystic whose predictions have traveled the globe, blurring the line between legend and reality. Stories swirl around her that she foresaw the collapse of the Soviet Union, the 9/11 attacks, and even the rise of social media. In recent years, new tales claim she predicted chaos in the Middle East, the fall of Damascus, and a world-changing conflict that would begin there. But how much of this is truth, and how much is wishful storytelling? Most of Baba Vanga's alleged Middle East prophecies come not from her own recorded words, but from the whispers of others, passed along in forums, social media posts, and secondhand retellings. Her actual predictions, carefully documented during her lifetime, remain far fewer and more ambiguous. The power of collective belief is undeniable. A single rumor can spark hope or fear across continents. Yet as these stories spread, it becomes ever more important to question their origins. True prophecy demands discernment, not blind acceptance. In a world awash with fake prophecies and viral legends, wisdom lies in seeking what is real and letting go of what is not.
Across the tapestry of global prophecy, Vietnam's Nguyễn stands as both a mysterious and revered figure. Born in the 16th century, he was not only a scholar and poet, but also the nation's most celebrated oracle, affectionately known as Trạng. His enigmatic verses, called Samcharang have echoed through centuries of turmoil, guiding both rulers and common people in times of uncertainty. Unlike Western or Middle Eastern prophets, Bỉnh prophecies are wrapped in layers of metaphor and symbolism. He spoke of rivers flowing backward, mountains walking, hidden fires beneath calm waters, images that require patience and wisdom to interpret. Many believe his words foresaw the rise and fall of dynasties, foreign invasions, and eras of both peace and upheaval. What is truly remarkable is that Nguyễn Bỉnh legacy is not limited to Vietnam, but offers guidance to humanity whenever history reaches a turning point. In the context of ongoing conflict and instability in the Middle East, his spirit of mindfulness, calmness, foresight, and commitment to core human values becomes a timeless message for us all. He reminds us that while fate may be challenged by war or upheaval, true strength is always found in the human heart, in resilience, wisdom, and the enduring hope of renewal after every storm.
As we look across centuries and continents, the prophecies of different seers begin to form a haunting mosaic, distinct yet connected. A striking common thread runs through their visions, the warning of wars that ripple far beyond their point of origin, sweeping up entire regions and drawing in the world's great powers. Again and again, America, Russia, and Iran emerge as central figures, sometimes as rivals, sometimes as reluctant players in a drama too vast to control. Yet, the prophecies also diverge in ways that reflect their own times and cultures. Some, like Athos Salomé, warn of dangers born from technology, artificial intelligence running rampant, electromagnetic pulses plunging cities into darkness, and a world transformed not just by bombs, but by unseen forces. Others, rooted in spiritual or local traditions, speak more in allegory, drawing on religious imagery, local struggles, or ancient cycles of renewal and collapse. Faith and culture, science and myth. These elements mix and clash, shaping the unique character of each prediction. Some prophecies echo today's headlines with uncanny detail. Others remain shrouded in mystery, their meaning shifting with each new crisis. So where does prophecy end and reality begin? Are these visions true glimpses of destiny, or are we simply connecting the dots in hindsight, filtering history through the stories we most need to hear? Perhaps the greatest power of prophecy lies not in predicting the future, but in challenging us to question, reflect, and find meaning, no matter what tomorrow brings.
Beneath the surface of prophecy, there lies a deeper spiritual question. What are these warnings truly meant to teach us? Are they messages to paralyze us with fear? Or are they, in fact, invitations to awaken and grow? Throughout history, prophecies have served not just as predictions of disaster, but as calls for self-reflection. When faced with warnings of chaos and war, we are urged to look inward, to question our actions and our assumptions. In this sense, prophecy is less about fate and more about choice. It asks us, what kind of world are we shaping with our thoughts, words, and deeds? These ancient and modern messages challenge us to recognize our shared vulnerability and responsibility. They remind us that no society is immune to suffering, and that complacency can be as dangerous as conflict itself. In an era of instant news and viral panic, prophecy encourages discernment, to pause, seek the truth, and resist being swept away by fear or misinformation. Most importantly, these warnings invite us to reconnect with ourselves, with one another, and with the deeper values that bind humanity together. Rather than seeing prophecy as a sentence handed down from above, we can view it as a mirror, reflecting both our shadows and our light, and urging us to choose hope, wisdom, and compassion as we face the unknown future.
As we reach the end of this journey through prophecy and reality, one truth stands out. While the voices of seers and mystics echo across centuries, our future is never set in stone. The warnings of war, the images of darkness and rebirth, and the stories told by prophets from East and West all remind us that destiny is not a script we are doomed to follow, but a canvas we are invited to paint. Yes, many predictions speak of chaos, conflict, and upheaval. But woven through these warnings is a deeper call, a reminder of our power to choose how we respond. In times of crisis, it is easy to feel helpless, lost in the storm of headlines and uncertainty. Yet, every moment of fear can also be a moment of awakening, a chance to reach for empathy, to seek wisdom, and to take responsibility for the world we create. Now more than ever, we need voices of hope, discernment, and connection. Let's not be mere bystanders in the unfolding story of our time. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How do these prophecies resonate with you? What lessons will you carry forward? Join the conversation, because every perspective adds light to the path ahead. And as you reflect on the stories of prophets and the reality we face together, ask yourself, will you believe in fate, or will you choose to help shape the future with your own hands and heart? If this message stirred something within your soul, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can keep seeking meaning, finding hope and strength in even the darkest moments, and reminding one another that the future, no matter how uncertain, is ours to create.